David, did you enjoy the World Cup final?
I did.
You know what I liked most about it? Spain, my team in the office sweep, won.
Well, I came third because I got England. Are there a few pounds in it for me too?
Well, the question is, David, did anybody remember the office sweep? Because Spain won, I thought, oh, hello, I'll be $160 richer. But of course, it was a bit half-hearted, wasn't it?
And no one has paid up.
Everybody's keeping their head down. Mark Stone's gone on holiday. Haste you back, Stoner. You owe me $20.
So, James, it says on my screen here, I'm now meant to say, I'm David Blevins.
Yeah, and I'm James Matthews. And the difference, of course, is that we are using Christian surnames. You know why that is?
No.
Well, I spoke to my dad during the week, and he said, what's all this? I'm David and I'm James. He says, that's too intimate for me. Anyway, I passed it on to the producers, and lo and behold, we're back to our Sunday names.
Protecting the surname, you see. That's what he's all about.
Protecting the brand, you reckon? You're David Blevins.
And you're James Matthews.
And we're both in the Washington, D.C. studio of Trump 100.
Britain has its 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. Andy Burnham, the new occupant of number 10. And he spoke to Donald Trump shortly after he walked through that famous black door. How will that relationship work out? And will it last longer than Starmer's fleeting bromance with the American president?
Plus, the Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan. They're in the US. They have been arrested. Why were they here? What have they been arrested for? Well, we'll let you know. They had a hearing in a court in Miami on Monday afternoon.
There has been other news from Florida too. Tragic news from US Central Command in Tampa. 3 young US military members have died after Iranian strikes in the Middle East. What they died for is unclear. Will moments like these continue to put pressure on Trump to end this war?
And we'll reflect on the World Cup final and Trump's involvement, which was every inch Donald Trump. So, David, a new Prime Minister in Downing Street, Andy Burnham. There is a Trump angle, of course, in all of this. The pair, well, they spoke on the phone just after Burnham entered number 10. They have some making up to do. They are no political soulmates, this pair. The public record tells you that. Take a look at what Trump has said on Burnham. He's extremely liberal. The mayor of a town, he called him. And as for Burnham on Trump, well, he said in the past that Donald Trump has brought instability to the US and to the world, talking about right-wing populist politics.
Yes, and after the January 6th raid on the US Capitol, Burnham said that any UK politician who gave Trump the time of day should be ashamed right now. He recently said he wouldn't be afraid to disagree with the president, and it might well come to that. But they have had their first phone call, Prime Minister to President, and the White House and Downing Street have issued their own readouts, as we call them, their own versions of that call, all very polite. Now, Trump has been on Burnham's radar for a while, but the new Prime Minister has only come onto the President's radar recently.
I've no doubt, David, the private chat between them was cordial. I'm not sure about the public discourse, however. We had Trump on Sunday night on Truth Social. Andy Burnham hadn't even crossed the threshold at number 10. And for me, there was a look of Trump trying to bounce him into an energy policy that was, well, very Trumpian. They're dancing in the streets of Aberdeen, posted the president on Sunday night. He said that Burnham would be opening North Sea oil all the way. Now, that is disputed by the UK government, actually. For one thing, it says it will be sticking to a policy of no new drilling licences. That said, Burnham, we think, could speed up existing plans to drill for oil. So, you know, there is this echo of the Trump-Starmer aggro, the drill, baby drill soundtrack to their acrimony. We'll see how it all develops in due course, but I do wonder if Trump is charting out a collision course, which is a challenge to Andy Burnham. He has to rebuild this most consequential relationship whilst protecting his politics and Britain's best interests. It can't all be on Trump's terms.
And might we see Donald Trump visit Manchester next year? There are reports the new Prime Minister has hinted to the President that the G20 summit could be held there. It's the UK's turn to host next. It's 106 years since a US president visited Manchester. Guess who?
Tell me.
Woodrow Wilson. He was there in December 1918 while en route to the Paris Peace Conference.
Wow. Yeah, you know, in that readout between Burnham and Trump, there was a line about the president updating the Prime Minister on the Middle East, which right there I think is the step up for a mayor in Manchester now suddenly thrust into the heart of heated world affairs. The landscape before him can scarcely be more difficult. Prime Ministers before Andy Burnham, they've had a template to follow, alliances that were solid and reliable, but of course they're shifting, as is the world order. As a new PM, you know, he's in a position where he has to patch up and progress the UK-US relationship in the UK's interests. How he plays Trump will be key, how he navigates his changing priorities and shifting alliances, how he earns the friendship and favour of the White House without necessarily emboldening this president on matters that compromise Britain's interests and national security. You know, when he inserts himself into the likes of Ukraine, China, Russia, etc.
And of course, national security is where the power dynamic shifted between Trump and Keir Starmer. Trump seemed to forget that the so-called special relationship was a relationship of equals. So that's the challenge now for Burnham, to rebalance that.
Now, David, the Tate brothers are back in the news. That's Andrew and Tristan. They are the influencer brothers from Luton who've built this online empire preaching toxic masculinity. Self-styled, unapologetic misogynists. They encourage their followers to treat women as property. Andrew and Tristan, they're also known for sharing racist content online. They are enormous players in the online manosphere, a community that Donald Trump, of course, won over in the 2024 election.
Yes, they were arrested in Miami on Saturday at the request of UK authorities. They are wanted on rape and sex trafficking charges in the UK. They now face a combined 59 criminal charges there. The brothers were already facing rape and human trafficking charges in the UK over allegations from 2012 to 2015. And in Romania, they face charges of human trafficking and forming an organised criminal group to sexually exploit women.
On those Romanian charges, the Tate brothers, they lived in Romania for some time, and after charges there, the pair were forbidden from leaving the country. But it was only after Romanian authorities lifted travel restrictions last year that they flew to Florida. Now they have been in court facing charges. On Monday afternoon, they appeared in a Miami federal court. They deny all wrongdoing. The big question is, I suppose, will Donald Trump insert himself into this particular story, into their fate? The president, you know, he's a man who can be like a moth to a flame. When notoriety and controversy exists in America, if he's not in amongst it, the instigator of the noise, then he's never too far away from it.
Yes, and the Tate brothers have had plenty to say about Donald Trump in the past, even suggesting that he would change their legal fortunes. After Trump's 2024 election win, Andrew Tate posted online that his case would definitely be dismissed. A couple of years before that, he'd said that Trump was the future of the Western world, that everybody needs to get in line and obey him. The Tate brothers see something in Trump, it seems, that they don't in other politicians. And whilst Trump has never publicly supported them, according to some reports, his special representative, Paolo Zampoli, who introduced Donald and Melania to one another, actually hosted the Tates here in Washington, D.C. just a few days ago.
Yeah, and then there are the family ties. Don Jr. and Barron Trump, they've been supportive of the Tate brothers in the past, although clearly that's not been enough yet, at least, to stop them staying out of handcuffs. Last week, David, we spoke about Pete Hegseth's plan to test the testosterone levels in military personnel. Now, these are two different stories, but they are part of the same conversation. How America is increasingly, I think, becoming a country and society rather dominated by those stirring the online manosphere culture on the American right.
Yes, there are reports Trump has decided not to attempt to intervene at this stage, but the case continues. The next stage of the extradition process will be a hearing for the Tates in court again on the 27th of July.
David, a quick note on Iran. The news doesn't get any better. 3 members of the US military services have been killed by Iranian airstrikes over the weekend.
Yes, it brings the number of Americans to have died since the war started up to 17. These deaths at the weekend were the first as a result of direct hostilities since the second day of the war. The two sides have been trading fire for 9 nights in a row, but every American casualty really tests Donald Trump further. It's what the White House and the Pentagon informally calls the Dover test. That's a reference to the base to which the bodies of US service personnel killed in action are repatriated. The question is, and therefore the test is, what impact does all of this have on public support for the war?
Yeah, the Dover test, in the eyes of his critics, certainly that was a test failed by Donald Trump last time. In March, there were 6 bodies brought back subject to the dignified transfer. Trump famously or infamously wore a USA baseball cap during that particular ceremony, and critics, Republicans amongst them, said that was disrespectful from a commander-in-chief. He is, of course, a president who is facing difficult choices, and the US is increasing its resources in the Middle East. It has got escalation written all over it, with all the political pressure that builds on Trump. A conflict he can't resolve, accumulating costs, damaging him politically, and it damages him more when coverage comes to be defined, not by press release images of US strikes, these imperious sound bites that we continuously hear, but by images of service members lost, teenagers, some of them. That will amplify the questions about what America is doing here and why.
Yes, these soldiers who have died were really young. We know that 2 of them were aged 25 and 19. And for what? Yes, US mediators have reportedly passed Iran a proposal that would offer a 10-day ceasefire to find ways to revive the interim deal they reached last month, that memorandum of understanding. But all the while, weapons are still being fired at Iran. Iran is still trying to choke off the Strait of Hormuz and firing missiles at America's Gulf allies, with no end in sight to all of this.
David, the World Cup final, did you watch it?
The worst game in history.
It was a contender, certainly. What did you make of the kind of surrounding paraphernalia, the halftime show?
One word.
Tell me.
Tacky.
Yeah, the whole Madonna thing. Madonna and Ronaldo and Ronaldinho. I thought to myself, the Teletubbies haven't aged well.
Yeah, Tinky Winky, Dipsy, La La and Poe. I think you could use any of those titles to describe the halftime show.
Yeah.
The world's weirdest and not for the greatest game. I wonder what was worse, the game or the show.
Yeah, I just wonder if you can sing the Teletubbies, David. I thought you were going to there. Our kids are the same age,
I can't remember the theme tune, can you?
Tinky Winky.
La La, Dipsy.
See, wrong order. Say the right tune, wrong order. I used to know a friend of mine used to go out with Lala, or the person who played Lala, and it remains his proudest boast.
I'm glad you clarified that it was the person who played Lala. But of course, this was a World Cup on American soil, James, and so unsurprisingly, it had someone else's fingerprints all over it.
Would that be one Donald J. Trump? Yeah, before the game, he flew over the stadium in New Jersey on Marine One and then made his way to the box seats. He was in the stands, walking out onto the pitch at full time, of course, with his big pal, lips puckered, FIFA president Gianni Infantino, both to a chorus of boos. People who were there said there were boos. On the TV, I don't know about you, but for me, I couldn't, it wasn't the kind of boos that rang out when he was at the basketball, for example, but there were people unhappy, certainly, that he was there, if not the whole stadium.
Yeah, it sounded like a mixture of boos and cheers to me, and that's the thing with live sport. A campaign rally is one thing. A World Cup crowd is quite another, entirely unpredictable. The moment you're in a crowd of 80,000 football fans, you're not in control of the audience anymore.
Trump, of course, was backing Argentina in that game. Gets on well with that country's premier, Javier Milei.
The man with the chainsaw.
The man with the chainsaw and the hair. The Shawari Wari tribute act. Elvis tribute act. By contrast, he's recently called Spain a terrible NATO partner. And, well, he's consistently criticised the Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, over defence spending and his positions on foreign policy. Ultimately, he had to hand over the trophy to the Spaniards at the end of the game because that was the team that won.
But he wouldn't get out of the shot, would he? Stayed in frame as the players lifted the trophy, despite Infantino's best efforts to haul Trump off the stage, and he was later photoshopped out of some of the pictures.
That's right, yeah. Infantino's efforts to get him out of the shot, and the Spanish players, actually. The captain, Rodri, kind of gently escorted him to the side, but he just hung around. Pretty embarrassing at the time. That lack of self-awareness, I suppose. The Guardian's caption editor put it perfectly in Monday's newspaper under the picture of Infantino ushering Trump away from the celebrations. Well, the caption is, Gianni Infantino carefully explains to Donald Trump that he is not part of the national Spanish team. I have to say, I looked on X and I thought a close second in terms of the captions because, you had all this gold leaf falling, and they were standing in amongst it. Somebody just wrote the words, golden shower.
Are you taking the piss, James?
Very good.
Away from the football, though, this World Cup in general, to many, was the very embodiment of everything American. Commercial and superficial, big, loud.
Yeah, listen, well done to the Americans. I mean, they put on a hell of a show, and with due respect to the United States, they are I always think they're like a confused predator when they turn their eye towards football. They want to make changes that just doesn't suit the game, a game that doesn't belong to them. And they've played a blinder in this World Cup, but I think for a lot of reasons, a lot of people think, you know what, America, thank you, but just leave our game alone.
Yeah, it felt a bit like the football lost out to fame and celebrity, but you covered it up close, at least some of it, James. What's your lasting memory of this World Cup?
Yeah, David, well, as I say, as a tournament, I thought ultimately it was a fantastic spectacle. Like all these things, the politics, they do recede into the background and the sport takes over. And that's what will come to define the competition, the fans, the trophy, and all those images that stay with you. Yamal's wee brother, the Lionel Messi tears and so on. The competition took off, yeah, and when it got going, it was great. The stadiums were bouncing. In this country, because of the various diaspora, every game was a home game for somebody. So it was a great success. But I don't think that completely erases a legacy that actually is quite ugly for me. The travel bans, for one thing. I was playing football with Haitians, and the tournament for them was overshadowed by the fact they couldn't bring their families and friends from back home to come and join the party. They said to me, this is racism, nothing less. And of course, other participant countries were in the same boat. You also had the Somalian referee, he couldn't get in. And there were things about this World Cup that didn't fit the FIFA slogan, football unites the world. But, of course, David, I was covering the Tartan Army, and they are my abiding memory. The pictures, the joie de vivre, the kind of love that they spread around the place. Hats off to them. Great ambassadors for Scotland, and a marketing arm, I have to say, for their country that their country could not afford. So great, just a fantastic experience in their company. I do want to say well played to the England fans as well. They were there in numbers. I met many of them on the road, and they were terrific. Just all about the football and a class act. So in so many ways, it was the feel-good World Cup, David. Just a shame it felt so bad on the pitch ultimately.
Right, James, the World Cup is done, and so are we, at least for today. From the Teletubbies to Shawadi Wadi, where else would you hear it? We'll be back later in the week. Thanks for listening, and do get in touch with any thoughts at the usual place, Trump100 at sky.uk.
All the best.
Bye-bye.